Hi.
I am sitting here with the one and only Jackie Chan, global superstar, and he is signing all of these books. Are your hands tired?
No, tired, but I'm happy.
All right.
Yeah,
I'm
really,
so
really
happy
happy.
to hear that.
How do you feel?
Good. I'm excited. This is the first time I've done something like this before, a live signing.
Where do I want to go that I've never been? Oh, we're thinking about, not thinking, we're putting it in motion. I'm going to go to Indonesia on my Irresponsible tour this year. I'm excited about that. I've never been. And there's been a heavy demand for me there. So we're going to go. We're going to go to Indonesia and I'm going to make people laugh in Indonesia. That's how I roll. How do you roll? I can't make this up. Wayne, you got your Indonesia pants? I decided it about a good 3 weeks ago. You'll see it on the schedule soon, so I suggest you go get your pants for Indonesia. Because you're not going to wear them stupid pants. Where do you think Indonesia is? India. Yes, we out.
You can see that I'm signing it. This is not some machine scribbling my name. This is my actual human body scribbling my name. So, all right, there we go. First book, signed.
We have fans from all over who have written questions that they want to ask you.
Oh, dear.
And they're also going to get signed copies of the book. We're so excited.
Yeah.
So you ready to jump into some
Yes,
questions?
yes.
Hey, we're live at the live signing.
To my mind, the successful feeling at the end of a book is not that you have done everything you could with the book, but that you scratched the surface.
So it was a wonderful, it was a wonderful experience and a wonderful discipline in storytelling.
I'm going to start signing right now. I guess I'll sign in red. You know, red. I'm a Delta. Red.
Can you guys see that? See? He's a little smudge right there. So if you see a little smudge, that means Charles jumped on the book as I was signing it.
I don't mind doing signings because people really love a signed copy of a book. I know I do. I will sometimes sign a book to myself.
You were only 7 weeks old and ABC really wanted to get the new host in that seat and get things going. And I said, but I'm breastfeeding. And by the way, that was at a point like in 1979, coming up on 1980. You really weren't even allowed to say breastfeeding on the air.
I feel like this is something we kind of all need right now.
My life changed after my leg was broken in 1985. My world changed. I had the world by the tail. I had every material thing you could possibly hope for going for you in your life. And then all of a sudden, bang, in one instance, it was gone.
The only thing that matters is the love you give and the love you allow yourself to receive.
I'm healthier than I've ever been, only because I got healthy when I was like 40. Thank you so much.
Got it. Hi there. You probably recognize this guy. I'm Ned Rust. I'm his publisher, the James Patterson here, the #1 best-selling author in the world. And
Did you just make that up?
I did some research before I got here today.
We are doing my virtual live book signing.
Live book signing.
This is crazy.
More and more authors are doing this. I think it's so cool.
Signing some of the signed copies that you guys can get at premiercollectibles.com.
You're going to be signing these books live over the next 45 minutes.
Hey, what up, this your boy? I'm watching myself. Look at that. I need to stop.
If you're OCD, how is this panic-inducing to you?
They're not
like all
anymore.
these.
They've got a bag.
Yeah.
They've got a bag.
I'm inspired by your success. What advice do you give someone who's never found his passion?
Hi, I'm Judge Janine Pirro. You probably heard of my book, Liars, Liberals, and Leakers. I may look like Greg Gutfeld, but I'm not. Actually, this is so exciting. My 8th book, The Gutfeld Monologues, is out. This is fantastic. If you haven't purchased it yet, you're dead to me. But you still have time to reanimate and become my best friend.
Biggest pet peeve? Men that talk to me with spinach in their teeth.
What can I do while at work to help lower my stress and improve my health?
One musician do you most admire?
I love you all, and we'll talk again soon. Take care.
Bye.
Much love. See you.
See you soon, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
We'll see you around the world. Woo!
Have a great day.
Thank you, everyone here.
Bye, guys.
Say goodbye, Mary.
See you in the morning.
Goodbye, everybody. Thanks for coming.
Hey, everybody. Hey, now. Danny Zelisko here. We're at the Premier Collectible Live signing event today. And I'm glad you're all here. I'm here with my good buddy and amigo for many, many years, Al DiMiola.
How you doing, Dan?
I'm in Phoenix. Al's in New Jersey. And we're covering the country here. We're talking about music, books, and that kind of stuff. I know there's a lot of people on here from all over the place. We have some questions that we're going to go through, but first we want to talk about this book. Where's a copy of the book? There we go. That's what it looks like. Most of you guys probably have already seen it, girls. I'm not good at the they thing yet, so excuse me if I don't do that. But that's the book. It took about 60 years to write. And over the last 10 years, I got serious about trying to figure out what the chapters would be. What was I going to write about? Which stories would make it? Which pictures would make it? And it was a process because I have so much stuff. Like Al collects guitars. How many guitars do you have?
About 60, 70.
Nice. And I bet you that one better than the next, right?
Well, there's some good ones, you know. They're all up for sale, so. That's another point we got to address. No,
down the road with that one, but I managed to get two of those guitars myself. A beautiful Black Ovation acoustic that he plays, and that beautiful Paul Reed Smith, the Rainbow. What do you call it, Rainbow? Or
no, they changed it for some certain reasons to Prism.
Oh, the Prism. That was the guitar you played on the last Return to Forever tour that you did.
Right. Both of those models, the Ovation Black one is an LD model. So is the Prism. I designed the Prism, so they made it exactly as planned.
It's so gorgeous.
Beautiful.
I would show it to you right now, except it's hanging in the Musical Instrument Museum. We have this fantastic museum here in Phoenix that has an instrument, at least one instrument from every country on earth. And
amazing.
I'm thinking, how many could that be? 400 or 500? Do you know there's 3,000 countries? I had no idea.
So we went there together, and I had no idea myself how extensive it is, in terms of instruments per country. It's unbelievable. Anybody who hasn't been there, we should, plan a trip. It's mind blowing. And I was really delighted and honored that they had a little, segment on me there.
It's 1 million square feet of music instruments. So anyway, so that's where a couple of my guitars go. Over the years, I've collected a ton of stuff, which kind of leads into the book. I was not a pack rat, and not a hoarder, because I think pack rats and hoarders are different than collectors. As a collector, I collect specific cool stuff. Hoarders never throw out empty potato chip bags. I don't do that. But I kept all my baseball cards. Al kept a lot of his cards too, from when he was a kid. We're like almost the same age, like to the day. So we do a lot of the same things. And I don't know why. I didn't know him when he was a kid, but we all collected cards back then. And the collecting of the cards and looking up to these people led to getting into the music business, because in the mid to late 60s, all of this fantastic music was coming out. I mean, starting with the Beatles and the British Invasion, and then the LA country sound that turned into what the Eagles became. But
you had London, you had LA, you had San Francisco,
and then you had
if you made it in New York, you made it in the world.
Yeah, right. We could sing the song, but we won't. Anyway, that's the whole music business at that time, as it circulated through those big cities like that. They also had these groups that were associated with those cities, and
Totally.
it was hard not to get sucked into the glamour, the fun, everything during those days. And it's like once you get a taste of it, it doesn't let you go. And here we're 66 years old and we're still here acting like kids. And it definitely keeps you young. Look at him. So anyway, as far as this book goes, I was ready with this like 3 or 4 years ago. I'd written a lot of this stuff down. 10 years ago, I had 30 of the chapters already named and ready to be written. It was just a matter of writing them. And I had a block in my head where I couldn't figure out about writing in order. It was really kind of stupid. But once I figured out, all you got to do is get down each story the best way that you can when you're telling it. You can organize the order of the chapters later. The other thing I had a real problem with this book, and it's a good problem for the reader as well as me, as the guy who put it together, was I wanted to have the pictures that I have. There's over 600 individual photographs that I kept all these years just because my family started me collecting pictures. My mom was great at it. She had the kid photo albums. Each one had their own. And then there was the family ones. She was very good at doing that. So as an influence on me at a very young age, I love pictures and I love capturing moments and I love going back and seeing them. And, when you do 10 or 12,000 shows in the course of a life, you meet a lot of people and they're exciting people. They're great musicians. I mean, when I met Al, I was looking up to him like some guitar god that he is. And then lo and behold, he turns out to be a great human being and we're best friends forever. So, and that's one of the great things about our business is because anybody who's going to spend all that time and obsess and OCD and everything else to sit there and focus on playing those same notes and new notes over and over again in different order, back and forth. And when you try to play a guitar yourself and you listen to a guy like Al D, you know why it's hard and why only so many people make it. And being a part of that is why I got into this business as a concert promoter and why I ended up writing a book. I mean, there's too many good stories not to share. And while I realize this may not get to the Pulitzer Prize, maybe in rock and roll it will. Not enough people write about their exploits on the road and recording and the people that they meet. And you'll be happy to know, by the way, that Al's halfway through writing his memoirs.
Yeah.
And it's a trip. It's a trip doing it, isn't it?
Yeah. Once you start, you realize how many great stories there are, that you could just elaborate forever, and if you can combine that with pictures and everything through the career, because both of us have more than 40 years of doing what we do. And, the legacy just, is more deep and involved in terms of describing than I thought. Because once you get into it, you realize, oh my God, you could just go down a list of names, or you could just name a town and it'll conjure up, Paris. Oh man, I got like 20 stories right off the bat. London, and it's interesting. I didn't think so before, but then once I got into it, I said, yeah, now I see what they're talking about,
Well, the thing that is when you're writing, what's weird is you're kind of already editing in your head. What are they going to like? Is this important or not?
Right.
The thing that I found was you have to write down everything and then you can go back and edit it down. The other one that I did, which saved my life when I was doing this, was I read it to this guy who I hired off of Shark Tank. And he said he was a ghostwriter. I mean, it just came up. There was like, and he's a great guy. I'm not going to say his name though, because he didn't finish the book and we had to finish it, but his name was Michael. Anyway, he did, he got me going and he got me on the right path. I'll say that much. But the thing that he did was we recorded interviews off of the top subjects that I gave him that I wanted to talk about. And he recorded them and then we just sent them back and forth by email. in terms of editing, because what was really important to me was that it wasn't written in somebody else's voice, with somebody else's words. And what I mean by that is when you give it to an editor and they go, well, I know what he meant here, and they substitute a sentence for one or two words to capsulize what it is you were trying to say, you read it and you go, I never said that. That's not me. I would never use that word. I didn't even know what some of the words meant. So we finally got.
I'm working
got on
with
the
an
same
amazing
page.
ghostwriter. You know,
Huh?
that I'm working with an amazing ghostwriter, Jeff Magnus, who was, you know, once it's all put together and everything, I wanted to be asked questions. I wanted somebody to get it out of me, and then once it's all written out, then I'll go through everything, you know, and do the editing with him, you know.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is when you might even find that you want to get a couple of other people to ask you questions on tape, like fans that know you and know your stuff. And it's like when you have somebody on the other side of the counter looking at you and talking to you, like whether it's on a Zoom or if it's in person, and you know they're interested in you, you know they care, but they're going to be excited to ask you these things and get the answers back that you can give them. Only you can do that. That's where the magic comes in your words in the book.
Right.
You know,
that could happen too. Yeah.
It's really important when I could tell a story, when I can look at you and talk and know that we're talking to all these other people out here, I get jazzed. Pardon the pun, dude. So I guess some people have written in questions, and Al is gonna ask the questions.
Let's start out with Scott from Chandler, Arizona. Danny, being a promoter has many ups and downs given the unpredictable nature of rock stars and celebrities. Most people would ask, well, who is your favorite performer besides, you know, moi? I want to know who is your most difficult act to work with. That leaves me out with over the years, and why. This is a multi-part question. Do you want to just start with the beginning of that?
Sure. Well, you are one of my favorite guys to do business with and play with. I mean, there's, you know, when we get to go out and get together, whether it's around work or not, there can just be trouble anywhere you go.
Well, we're friends, but, you know, are there any other like rock acts that, you know, especially in particular, that were like really just wonderful to work with? From the management all the way down.
I can't narrow it down to just one, but I'll give you a couple of my absolute favorites.
What comes to you right away, you know?
I love doing shows with Roger Waters. He's one of the, I mean, it's not just about what happens on stage, it's before and after as well. And there's always a great pre-show thing with him, and there's after shows in the bar at the hotel. It's always fun. Alice Cooper is always one of my absolute favorites. Prior to him passing, John Prine, I did more shows with John Prine than anybody ever I did with John Prine, and I miss him terribly. Those are my top, really my top.
What about he wants to know, Scott wants to know, who could have been or was one of your most difficult acts to work with over the years, and why? One particular situation you can name that really challenged you.
I guess,
but it wasn't so glamorous, let's say.
I guess it was James Brown. I love James. What a piece of work he was. I loved him in the 60s when I was just a little 10, 11-year-old kid, and all those great songs, the great soul music, the great R&B, not only Motown, but, you know, James Brown, who wasn't Motown, and he was a monster. And I loved the way he pissed off my parents, you know, because he was so ethnic and he was so in everybody's face. And me and my brothers, we had our faces glued to the TV. What are you talking about? Look at the way that man dances, you know, and the way he sings, and that hair, that bouffant. I mean, we love James. So I finally booked a show with him. It was at Dooley's, the nightclub in Tempe that I was booking, and Reverend Al Sharpton was his road manager.
Oh no! Really?
Oh yeah, you know,
no kidding.
And yeah, he was James' best friend. You know, he delivered the eulogy, and he was very, very involved with his funeral. Al turned into quite a world figure. I mean, he's a smart guy, and he sticks up for his people, and good for him. But there he was representing James, and we had a great time, and that was my first time meeting James. Then I did some more shows with him, but the weirdest and the nuttiest one was I did him at the Belly Up Tavern in San Diego. And I'm going, I can't believe James Brown's playing a place called the Belly Up. Very famous club. A lot of superstars played there over the years. But this is later on in his career.
Is that the one at Solana Beach or San Diego?
I believe you.
Right north of San Diego?
The only time I was there, it's kind of hard. So I get a phone call from somebody in the afternoon. We're doing 2 shows. Both are sold out. As I recall, the capacity was maybe about 800 to 1,000. But we have 2 shows, and I get a call in the afternoon. It was James. James calls, and he goes, "Now look here." He goes, "I got to do an award ceremony tonight, and I'm going to be a little late." I'm, oh, God. What time are you going to get in, James? He goes, 7 o'clock. I said, that's when the first show starts, because it's a 7 and 10:30. I said, I suppose we could be a little late. He goes, what are you talking about, be late? We'll be on time. Don't worry about it. I go, James, I got to get you out of the airport. He goes, don't worry, I got no bags. Okay. I said, James don't got a brand new bag. He didn't like that. Anyway, he gets off the plane. Of course, the plane was late. I pick him up myself. I got a driver outside. We're waiting. Get him to the club. And we go to drive around the bay. He goes, no. He goes, since we're late, drive right up to the front door. I want everybody here to know I'm here. The problem was everybody was already in for the first show. And the second show was like, it was 8:30. And he's just getting there.
Wow.
So the second show's out there, and he gets out, and we go walking in the front door. And behind us, about 100 people back, we hear, pop, pop. Some guy shot a guy in line.
Oof.
So I go, James, let's get inside. Let the cops sort that out, because somebody cut in line, and he got shot for it. And they were all really nervous. He got all excited when James showed up. So he went out there. He goes, should I do a short show? I said, James, now it's 9 o'clock. Don't do a short show. So he played till 10:30, ripped the place up. And then we had to turn the thing over and let everybody else in again. So James was one of my favorite acts. He could be a handful, though. I wouldn't call him a bad guy ever, though. He was a really nice man.
Yeah. I got to do a cold bill with him.
Get out.
At the Kremlin in Moscow.
Wow.
It was just the most bizarre, as you can imagine, in Russia, it's going to be bizarre no matter what. But, I got to hang with him backstage, and, I got to watch him put curlers in his hair before he went on. And, we were all smashed drinking vodka. And, and they were drinking like nonstop, except for James. Everybody was drinking. I'd go up to him, hey, hot pants, and I was trying to kid with him. He had no sense of humor. But he actually came up to me. And, my music being so different, I would never expect a compliment from James, but he actually gave me a compliment. He really liked what we did. And I was like, wow, this is a trip. So I got a picture somewhere around. I hope it winds up in my book. Anyway, we got another question.
Uh-oh.
This is from Gary in Sun River, Oregon. Did you have many issues with bands not showing up for a show?
Hardly ever. The one show, just once. Remember that guy, Dobie Gray?
I hope it wasn't me.
No.
Dobie Gray. No. Dobie Gray.
I want to get lost in a rock and roll.
Oh, that was Dobie Gray?
That was Dobie Gray. He just didn't show up.
Huh.
No phone call. And you know what was great about it? We didn't send in a deposit. We sent a contract back. We just said, we'll pay you the night of the show. They said, fine, the agent. He never showed up. We had sold like 20 tickets.
Oh, okay.
So 20 people showed up, and we just bought them drinks, and
Yeah,
I hung out with them for about an hour and a half.
That was
got them
easy.
loaded and sent them home.
Was that a dually show or?
Yeah.
A
It was
dually,
a dually
okay.
show. But hardly anybody, nobody just doesn't show up. Sometimes they get sick. Sometimes they got to cancel.
Well, I'll tell you what, in that many decades you've been in business, that's pretty amazing. To only have that one.
I did tell one story in the book about the Outlaws, where they didn't show up until 6 o'clock the night of the show for a 7 o'clock show. Again, it was 2 shows. And the story's pretty colorful and a little graphic, and it's fun, but I'll leave that for the reader to read about it. And it's a good story, though.
We got another one from Lily. Lily is from Bayern, Germany, which is in the Munich area. I should know that because I lived there at one time. And she said, hello, Danny. I have 2 questions. Number 1, I'm currently at university studying music business. Any advice about the business? And number 2, I know you have worked with Alice Cooper, and I believe you also know his guitarist, Ryan Roxy. Any cool stories with Roxy and Alice Cooper band? Thank you.
I'll start with that. I love Ryan Roxy. He's a great player and a great friend of Alice's and a great guy. Actually, the funniest story I have wasn't, we were with Ryan, but he didn't come up to the room, but Chuck, the bass player, and I were raging one night after an Alice show in Vegas. And he had this band, Bisto Blanco, right? Very hard rock band, hardcore. And he had this song called California on it. If you can get this song, if you're a rock fan, like a hard rock fan, Bisto Blanco, California. If you hear that song, picture me and him jumping up and down on a very expensive sofa in a beautiful suite in Las Vegas, like stupid little kids, jumping up and down, just raging to this song. And I don't know what got into me, and all of a sudden I did the Lipton iced tea plunge. You know that one where you go into the pool?
Yeah.
Only it was a floor.
Oh.
And I landed there and I stuck like I hit Velcro. Why did I do that? Well, I guess that was all excess. I got a little carried away. I paid for that. It broke my coccyx. You know, that's where your tailbone is. And you can actually break it. And the only way to fix it without getting graphic is to have it manipulated.
And these stories, ladies and gentlemen, are in the book. Like,
I don't know if that one's in there.
But you have all these other ones that are even more juicy than that one.
Well,
So
that's true.
Check out the book. The book is amazing. I love this book.
And you get it at Premier Collectibles /Danny.
Yeah, great book.
While I've been doing this, somebody asked me to sign some of these. I guess I'll sign some here. But anyway, yeah. And then what was the first part of that?
The first one was she's studying music business. Any advice about the business?
Well, Al, I guess we can give her our standard answer. Find another line of work.
No, I didn't know you were going to say that, but I was just, if you were a guy, I'd say study plastic surgery, specialize in breasts. I don't know. I don't encourage people to go into the music business unless you're super passionate and you have just blinders on, and you won't hear anybody else's advice. Then you do what your heart tells you to do. But this is tougher than ever now. It seems, because we lost the record industry kind of, and it's just tougher, I really wish we had those old school Jewish lawyers that were in New York that used to protect the artists, because they would have never let this streaming thing happen. That has killed a lot of artists. But that's my take on it.
I'll tell you
that's a whole other Zoom, kind of a call.
I got reminded of this recently, and it happens to be true. But when I started putting on concerts, I, of course, like everybody, you want to have a superstar. You want to have one of your favorite acts. You want to have the one that you can brag to your friends, I got so and so coming. And then I found out the reality of it when I talked to Uncle Frank Barcelona, and he goes, "Look," he goes, "you seem like a good kid. You haven't done any shows yet. You got to do some shows. Cut your teeth on some new acts. Show us that you can take a nobody and make him into a somebody in your market, and that you're going to do a good job putting on the show for them, and you're going to promote it right, and they're going to get paid, and you're going to wake up the next day and you're going to do it again. Show us that you can do that." So it was hard for me to get those first phone calls answered by the agents to book anybody. And they were right. You have to, you only learn by experience when you're putting on concerts. All of the different things. I mean, I could give you 100 things in a row that you have to do in order to put on a good show. And hopefully by the time I'm done saying all that, you get exhausted and say, I'd rather pump gas, because it's a really tough, sometimes thankless job. But the bottom line is, if you start with a band that you like that's brand new and nobody else knows about them, and you can figure out how to pay them $300, $500, $750, $1,000, you know, somebody that's $1,000, they have a record out and people know who they are. That's where groups start at the beginning of their careers, is making.
But you also started as a fan of music, like a big time fan.
Exactly, but new bands come along that I have no idea who they are, but I'm a fan of that style of the music, or it just makes me feel good.
Sure.
The thing is everybody wants to be in stadiums or arenas right out of the box. Number one, you probably don't have the money to pay these people what they get. I mean, when somebody plays an arena, they're getting $1 million guarantee for those big groups that the tickets are $50 to $250. They're not screwing around. I mean, it's their livelihood.
But now, Danny, we're talking about a new era after the COVID thing, and we're going into a new way of what you're gonna have to do to deal with business and agents and bands, right? It's got to be way different.
You know what? So far as we're emerging out of this right now, I haven't seen a whole big difference yet at all from the way it was over.
But what about the big shows? You think they're going to come back the way they did before?
Absolutely.
Wow. Good news.
Yeah,
that's good,
dude. It's happening right now. I mean, every day, every week. Look in your papers and your.
It's because people are hungry. You think it's going to be let's say different on the plus side, right?
Yeah, I do. But people are hungry, but they're hungry for who they want to see more than ever. They're not just hungry for anything. And I think people are going to be intelligent about this. I think they're going to still extend some caution, at least for the first few times they go to shows. But, you know, I've been around people the whole time this has been going on. I've been on planes. I've been in grocery stores. I've been in crowded situations. You take your precautions the best you can and go have a good time with whatever you're doing. And, and you know, I mean, I got vaccinated. You got vaccinated. A lot of people, I don't know. Some people want to, some people don't, whatever. If you haven't, just be extra careful, man. I'm not going to judge anybody on that. But the bottom line is, for concerts, like for instance, they just did Lollapalooza just went on sale in Chicago, and they put the Bottle Rocket thing on sale in California, and I think Bonnaroo, and they're asking for people to be vaccinated. So I'm curious to see if everybody how they respond to that, because I know some people are against it. I mean, I really feel like always with going to concerts, there's always a chance that you're going to run into somebody. There's always a chance somebody's going to have a cold nearby or cough or something. I mean, I can't prevent any of that stuff from happening. So when you're going to a show, let the buyer beware. It's up to you. Have caution. I mean, I think the first few times I'm in an audience of a bunch of people I don't know, I think I'll be sporting a mask for a little while until I feel completely comfortable. But I don't want to insist on that to anybody.
Well, you have the shots. I think you're going to be fine.
I think I'm fine.
That's what I think. Next question is from Allison from Frankfort, Kentucky. Are there any stories or photos that didn't make it into the book?
Definitely. I have right over here in this this thing over here next to me. I probably have another 1,000 pictures that I could have put in there.
Why not do a book too, like a second book? Because
you know
I've already anticipated that even in my book, I'm going to have to, I'll probably come up with stories I forgot about, part two,
I had more fun when I finally settled on the pictures that I wanted to use. I had more fun writing the captions underneath them. There was a couple of nights where I like Bacardi and Diet Coke as a drink for writing. That's my writing drink. So I got a bottle of Bacardi and Diet Coke, and I sat there and I'd spend a few hours writing all these little captions, but I always read them the next day because towards the end of that session, you get a little messed up with your wording. But I had a lot of fun doing that. And you're right about that. I think I could do another book just of pictures and writing captions and not get into the whole story thing and let all the pictures and whatever captions tell the story. But yeah, there's a lot of other pictures, and it was agonizing to settle on picking what I had. And then it just came down to, you had so much room. Originally, I wanted to do 200 pages, and this thing ended up at 350. It weighs 2.8 pounds.
Yeah. It's pretty thick, Dan. Yeah. It's perfect for a footrest too, if you're a guitar player. But anyway, here's one from
or
Mario.
you can cut stuff out of the middle of it and hide stuff in there.
I thought we weren't supposed to talk about that.
Well, you can hide your money in there. I wasn't talking about your stash, dude.
Okay. Mario from San Jose. What's your earliest musical memory, and when did you know you wanted to go into the concert promoting business?
In around 62, 63, we always listened to the radio, and I was really familiar. I still remember that, was it the Moon Glows, I Only Have Eyes for You, and Elvis, and the Four Seasons, Ink Spots, the Drifters, Chubby Checker, Chuck Berry.
Aretha.
Well, Aretha was a little later. Little Motown came a few years after, but I was before that. Yeah. And then the Beatles came, and it was all over.
When did the Ventures come? I was a big Ventures fan.
They were before the Beatles. The Everly Brothers were before the Beatles. But when I used to go every week to this record store down the street from my parents' house where I live, after school every Friday, we could pick up the Silver Dollar Survey, which was the top 40. And we didn't know top 40, but we figured out top 40 records, 40 songs. And one day I went in there to pick up, and I never bought anything. I think I bought one record in a year. And I go in there and the guy says, "You're going to love this group. They're called the Beatles." I said, "What?" And because it had 2 T's, and it's right there in the book on the Silver Dollar Survey. I put a copy of it. I still had it. God only knows how. And I listened to it, and it was Please Please Me. And on the other side was From Me to You, 2 of the greatest Beatles songs ever made for me, because they were the first ones I heard, but nobody cared. I bought it and I played it for everybody. "Oh yeah, Danny, that's nice. That's nice." And then I Want to Hold Your Hand came out, and She Loves You came up. But it was a beautiful setup with those songs coming out, and then they appeared on Ed Sullivan.
Oh man.
And I was hooked, baby.
Oh,
that was it. And it was for you too. You got to record in Abbey Road. How about that? Does everybody know that?
Not everybody knows it. A lot of people don't know that I did 2 tribute albums. One being at Abbey Road, the first one, which was really great because it was therapy for me at the time, going through a tough time in my life. And I had these days off in my European tour in the summer, and I had this in the back of my mind for years to do something like that. And then I was thinking of where to record it, and it just came to me I was sitting in my hotel room in Prague, and my whole band went home, because they all lived in Europe. So on those days off, so I called up a friend of mine in London. He said, "Yeah, man, Abbey Road's still happening." I said, "Can you call him, see if he can grab, a block of time?" He said, "Well, they're fully booked except for one day." I said, "Grab it." I flew over to London, had my daughter come over and a buddy of mine to help with the production, and I did the whole thing acoustically, and it was truly like having that feeling of, again, for the first time since I was a kid, that thrill that you have when you're 5 years old and you go to Disneyland or something, that we don't have as adults anymore, because we've done it all, we've seen it all. It's very hard or getting your first great guitar when you're a kid, that thrill. I had that every day while at Abbey Road, so that was an amazing, and the story that follows that, where I met McCartney, during the middle of the whole making of the record, and I just happened to rent the house, and the house just happened to have been next door to McCartney, and it was a mind blower, the whole thing. So rather than get into a lengthy thing about it, and then I made the second record, which was a much bigger production in my studio. That was my last recent album that came out during the COVID thing. But yeah, man, it was just a magic period.
Do you sell your records through your website or anything like that, or
No, we're going to start doing that. I have 10 tons of product because the tours were canceled last year. So that my garage is a warehouse at the moment. So we're going to get into that. We're also selling something that I always thought was a great idea that no one does. Is because I do all of my music. I hand write all of my music scores, and to lithograph them and put them in beautiful frames, and actually sell them.
Yeah.
So we've started to do that. I had these 3 shows at the end of March, believe it or not, in Florida, outdoor shows, and we as part of the merchandise, we had that as an offer. It was great. They look great on the wall. Better than some paintings do. For sure.
Us collectors are sick puppies, and
right.
We'll buy this.
Cheers.
I was asked to remind people we are selling this book. It's called All Access. Al's in it, and with Frankie Valli, no less.
Oh yeah,
that
was a thrill, man. That was a thrill. I mean, can I tell the story?
Didn't he call you out from the audience, from the stage?
He did. He introduced me to all of the the people that were there, and I didn't expect that, but boy, going backstage, it was like hanging with a guy that I've known all my life in Jersey, because he did grow up near me. But what's amazing about the Four Seasons is Bob Gaudio, who wrote all of the music. It was the tall guy in the Four Seasons.
Yeah.
He grew up a few houses away from me, same side of the street, same block, and his parents, Rose and Phil, were over the house every week playing cards with my parents. So it's just an amazing thing, the guy that was the most successful in as far as songwriting and publishing was Bob Gaudio.
Oh boy.
And Pesci went to their house. Pesci introduced Frankie Valli to Bob Gaudio. He brought Frankie over.
I don't think people really put that together, that Joe was that guy.
Yeah, and that house was, right on the corner. It's like a few houses from my house. I was a safety patrol in grammar school on that corner, in front of the house. I probably saw the car pull up and didn't realize it was Joe Pesci because he wasn't known at the time. But anyway,
and he had hair.
Whatever, amazing. Here's another one from Ben in New Orleans. You're a lifelong sports fan, but were you ever an athlete? And if so, what sports did you play?
I couldn't skate, so hockey was out. I'm 5'7", so basketball was out. I'm 5'7". I was 125. I've put a few pounds on since then, but so I tried football. I was very good at football, I thought, but I was too small. And I did get into a couple games as a freshman quarterback, and I got leveled so badly that I quit. I just could. They were too big. But I did play baseball, and I was going to be a baseball player. Yeah. I was a catcher from the very beginning, because I realized that a catcher, nobody wanted to be catcher because it's a hard job and it's dangerous and you can get hurt really easy. You're in every play though, you run the game. You're the manager of the game. And I love doing that. I love calling pitches. I had a shotgun for an arm. I could throw from my knees to second base on the line. And I would block the plate and get run over. Those babies don't even let them do that anymore. That's part of the game. Anyway, I caught for 8 years and I really intended on doing this. But then high school came around and Pink Floyd and the game was over. I mean, all the music that came out in the late 60s. I only went into high school in 68. I played the first year and in the second year, at 69, it just didn't work out. And I segued into music. The thing is, though, baseball for being a catcher was the gift that kept on giving. I had 7 knee operations over the years since I was about 91. In the last 30 years, I've had 5 knee operations, and each one was replaced at the end of the day. In fact, I got to go to therapy today, and I'm still on my last one, which was 4 months ago. It was tough on it, but boy, I love playing ball. One other thing about playing ball, Randy Johnson was my neighbor, the pitcher for the Diamondbacks, and he here. Let me get this. Keep talking out.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to ask Danny if he was ever considering the wrestling team, because that's something I did, and I don't know if they had a wrestling team in high school, but boy, I wrestled in high school. Did you ever go wrestle, Dan?
Do what?
Wrestling.
Hated wrestling. I was just looking for I have a Randy Johnson Cy Young Award, and it's in the safe.
Okay.
I went to Randy's house for 6 years between Christmas and New Year's, 98 to 2003. And I played catch with them every morning for about 20 minutes to warm them up for spring training. And we'd play catch on the street, and just like Wayne's World, car coming, people be driving on the street. We have to get out of the way. Anyway.
I got a Mantle autograph. Best wishes to Al, Mickey Mantle, when I was in the hospital.
Mick. You loved Mick.
Oh, we all did. Come on.
How about Joe?
Joe who?
DiMaggio.
Nah, it was before our time, so we really didn't relate. You know what I mean?
Didn't relate. Whitey, Yogi, and Billy.
I got Whitey cards. I got Billy cards, Yogi cards. I Cleet Boyer, Tony Kubek,
Bobby Richardson.
How about Peppertone?
Ellie Howard, Joe Peppertone. What a piece of work. What else?
Anyway, we got Mariana. Oh, did I read that one already? What was the catalyst that made you decide to write the book? We did that one, right?
Yeah, we kind of answered.
Okay. How about Kirk from Memphis, Tennessee? Did you hang on to these photos with the hopes that one day writing a book?
Look, now we're recording a voice message. Yo, help us. Help us. No, we're doing actually pretty good. And anyway,
something's coming through.
This is the front lines. That's right.
Who is that?
I don't know. That's my guys.
Anyway.
Let me turn their volume down.
Uh-oh. That could be dangerous. This is kind of like, are we mixing a live album? Okay. I hear you fine.
All right.
Yeah, I hung on to
Look,
photos.
Now we're recording a voice message. Yo.
You answer this. I'll tell them to.
All right, tell them to knock it off. Thanks.
Yeah.
Sorry, folks.
Yeah, this is the
technical glitch there.
That's it, brother. All right.
You can turn Al's volume
Yeah,
down.
Grammys and Emmys, man. Oscar.
There you go. So, I hang on picture-wise and collectibles and memorabilia. I hang on to all that stuff. And I didn't know I was going to write a book for the longest time. I knew I was threatening to for the longest time, but I'm glad I hung on to them. How you doing there, buddy?
How's it, Dan?
You're great.
You hear that anymore?
Nope.
Okay.
Do I see a Super 8 projector behind you there?
How do you like that? That's my father's.
Ah.
That's my father's. And, I just thought it was, really cool to put out.
Very cool.
And isn't that cool?
I like it.
Look at that. And this part would always get super hot. Remember?
Yep, the light.
Okay, you want another one?
Sure.
Here's one from Staten Island.
Let's remind everybody why we're here.
Well, we're doing a promotion on Danny's amazing book, his autobiography, and which I have a copy, and it's one of those books you just can't put down. I mean, Danny's stories are endless and phenomenal and fun. You know, I mean, he's been in the business as long as I've been in the business, actually. So that's like 45 years or more. And, you know, I was looking forward to his book. I knew it was going to be great. And I'm just hoping mine is like half as good. But anyway, I highly recommend this book. It's a lot of fun. It's real thick, real heavy. So if you order a bunch of them, you know, have somebody help you pick it up.
And I think there's a place you can click on the screen if you want to order one, or it's Premier Collectibles /Danny,
and they make great gifts. So think about that. You know, anybody that loves music should read this book. You know, even if they don't know Danny, this is a book to get. You know, because he was one of the renegades in the business. You know, there was Bill Graham, and then Danny's right there. You know, and anybody who knows Bill Graham, that's like, he's like the god. You know, and Danny like looked up to Bill, and I remember stories of Bill when I was in high school going to the Fillmore East, and he was always out front fighting with people online why he has to charge $350, $450, and $550. Because he goes, I'll never forget, he was yelling at these kids. I got John coming over here from London. He's charging me $5,000. I have to, you know, charge $350, $450, $550. You know, and I said, man, why would he? I said to Bill years later when I got to know him, I said, why would you even take the time to explain that? You know, that was insane. While he had the Hells Angels keeping everybody in line, who had their headquarters 2 blocks over. I'll never forget this. It was amazing. And they took that theater down, which is really awful. A beautiful theater, landmark theater.
I hate that.
Ripped it down and put up a stupid bank. You know, I went to the Allman Brothers live at the Fillmore East show. Saw all the equipment out on the side entrance, stage door. I said, oh man, they must be, you know, recording a record. Dead, saw the Dead there, Traffic, Jefferson Airplane, Grateful, you know, gone and on and on and on. You know, Quicksilver. It was a magic time, you know? Yeah. Anyway, we're fortunate to have been brought up, you know, in that era, right?
Yeah, no kidding.
Okay, Staten Island, Doug. He has a question. What are the differences between concert promoting back then versus how it's being done now?
You know what I liked doing in the old days was you get a show, you announce it on the radio like on a Monday or a Tuesday, and you come up with the weekly newspaper ad, the one that comes out on Thursday, put that in there, and you buy a bunch of spots and you go on sale Saturday. And if it was a really big show, people would line up on Friday to buy the tickets on Saturday when they went on sale. Nowadays, you just put a show on sale and it's a computer move, just like everything's a computer move. So I think people are really, I mean, people our age don't want to go standing in line on a sidewalk overnight to buy tickets anymore. But it was fun when I was a kid. And it was kind of like the whole process and the ritual of buying concert tickets was as much fun as going to the show. You'd meet people in line and then you'd meet them at the shows. So the show would start the minute it went on sale as opposed to at 8 o'clock the night of the show. So that part of it, promoting, is very different. Now there's a lot of social media and online stuff you do. But I'll tell you what, I love sitting there watching the news or some rerun of The Honeymooners or Everybody Loves Raymond or Johnny Carson, and a concert spot comes up in the middle of it, you know, because we can't afford to be on The Voice or American Idol. They cost 10 grand for 15 seconds on those. But you can still buy TV ads affordably, and you can still buy flyers and print. I love billboards now. I never used to use billboards, but I love the hugeness, the size of advertising for shows where it's bigger than life, because you're promoting a once in a lifetime event. Every show is unique. and different. The guy never plays that music the same way every night.
How are billboards in terms of cost?
Like you can buy, well, it depends. There's these ones where you can buy leftover inventory for pennies on the dollar, which you gotta find. Yeah, no kidding. And,
you know why I asked? Because I saw, back before the COVID thing, when Bonamassa was out on the road, I would see his billboards everywhere. How the hell is he doing this?
Oh no, they just spend. He's into branding. Nobody's done a better job of promoting a career in the last 20 years like Joe B and his manager Roy. They do a fantastic job.
Yeah, but they have some money behind it, obviously.
Well, but it's hard. They just, like on a regular concert, maybe I'll spend $10,000-$15,000 in advertising. They'll spend 40. That's the difference. They want it everywhere. They're promoting a career, not just a show.
I'm going to borrow some of his terminology for promoting a show.
Well, you could do that.
Greatest guitar event in of the century or whatever it was. So I said to my wife, why don't we say that?
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, because that's what the billboard said.
Wait a minute.
Greatest guitar event of the decade or some kind of thing like that. And I go, well, he doesn't own that slogan. I'll just use it too.
How? Yeah, no problem. I mean, there's no trademark.
I just need the billboards, or at least 3 billboards.
But billboards, they can be expensive. I mean, figure $500 to $1,000 a week for each one.
Oh. Okay.
It depends on the traffic area,
right.
On the bottom it says whoever the advertising company is. Just call them up and ask them.
Yeah, never.
Then offer them half.
Okay, here's another one. This is from Michael in Fort Worth, Texas. What song do you most enjoy hearing in concert? Besides Race with Devil on Spanish Highway.
Mediterranean Sundance.
All right.
Yeah,
really?
Al Di Meola. I mean, who else am I going to say?
If I wasn't here, you would say that anyway, of course, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
But I'll also add one of my favorite singer-songwriters, and one of my favorite songs is "When I Get to Heaven" by John Prine.
All right, yeah.
That's an incredible song.
I'm sure the list is pretty long. It's hard to pick one. Here's one from Anders in Poughkeepsie. This is our last question. Poughkeepsie, New York. How did concert promoting impact your relationship with music? Did it make you want to become a musician at some point? Is there a Danny Zelisko demo somewhere out there?
About 40 years ago, I was doing a show with Bobby and the Midnights, Bob Weir. And this young gentleman named Billy Cobham was his drummer.
Oh, right.
And Billy had this beautiful set of drums. And I said, God, I love that set. That is so gorgeous. You want to play them? And I played them. He goes, hey, not bad. He goes, when I'm done with the tour, I'm getting rid of these. You want them? He goes, I'll trade you for that jacket you're wearing. And it was, remember back in the day, we used to have those satin jackets, the bomber jackets that we wouldn't be caught dead wearing them right now.
Yeah, right.
But I think they're going to come back. They're going to make a resurgence. Anyway, for years, he kept asking me, he goes, do you want those drums? All you got to do is pay for the shipping. And it was about $500. So finally I did it. About 20 something years ago, I got the drums. I have them right out in the next room. They're ready to go. I can play those. I like to play those. I was in a band when I was in high school, but I realized just like as a catcher, I was okay. I could get by. I could carry a tune, but there's no way when you're looking at what was happening in the 60s, in the 67, 68, 69, all those great records we were talking about. Jim Morrison comes out with, Light My Fire. I mean, I'm never going to touch this. So I turned my attention towards where I ended up. And I'm glad I did, because I would have never made it. It is so hard, folks, for this guy, Al D, for him to have gotten where he got. I mean, it's so hard to get there. And then what's even harder is staying there. That's the hard thing. It seems like it was almost easy by comparison.
Well, I was never known for a hit single, so I didn't have to kind of follow it with another hit.
Yeah.
With the fear of disappearing if I didn't get a hit on the next 2 or 3 records. So it was really like a hardcore bass following that I had that followed followed me, whatever I was doing musically, you know. So I had that kind of benefit, although I would have loved to have a hit single, you know. I certainly did have them in Europe, by the way. I did have a couple because they had a different mentality in terms of liking things that were more classical inspired or jazz inspired. So it was a different type of upbringing they had that allowed for that. But yeah, you know, we've had our ups and downs even within that whole spectrum, but it's been a good career, and I have more to. In fact, I'm in the middle of a record right now. If I could just turn my phone, you could see I'm set up in my main foyer, and we're all set up. I'm beginning a new project at the moment. So when I say this is not rehearsal, I'm actually recording some. I've written some solo guitar music that is some of the most you know, progressive shit I've ever written. You know, so.
And you have the sound of that foyer there.
The sound of the foyer is like Abbey Road. It's incredible, this house. If I ever wanted to turn it into a studio, it's just that I have to tell my wife and my daughter to go in the city and go shopping, which, you know, this is an expensive record already, even without it, you know, without me finishing it, you know, just add that to the list. But anyway, buy Danny's book. It's amazing. I love this book. I'm doing this because of two reasons. Danny's one of my best friends in the whole world, and I think the book is incredible, and I hope to make my book half as good as this one.
There it is.
Highly recommend all Exce. You know, he had to leave out a lot of stuff that was not appropriate for the book. He told me not to bring any of that up.
Yeah, you know, you don't want to tell tales out of school. Nobody likes a think.
But the years of fun involved a lot of stuff. Anyway, he's got the great stuff in there, and I highly recommend it. Danny?
Thank you, brother. So we'll remind everybody one more time. It's available at Premier Collectibles /Danny. I don't if I missed any questions, if we didn't have time to get to all of them, I'm sure I can get a hold of the questions, and I can give you answers. If you want, I'll call you up, or I'll send back something, or whatever you want to do. But I'm out here. info@DannyZeliskoPresents.com if you want to write me a note. But otherwise, go to Premier Collectibles and get a copy of the book. I think you'll really like it. And I want to thank the people, Lauren and everybody there at Premier for having me on here. And Al, you know, it's so great that thank you for taking time away from recording. I appreciate it. It means that much more.
Anytime. All right, pal. I'll talk to you in the next few days.
You're the best.
Take care, buddy. All the best. Bye, everybody.